When you think about coffee, two things that do not come to mind are a German housewife or a goat herder from Ethiopia. Today, we will show you the story of Melitta Bentz, the woman who invented the coffee filter and revolutionized how we consume coffee. But before we tell her story, let's go a few decades back to the beginning when coffee was just discovered. Did you know that coffee did not originate from Colombia, though they now have coffee of the highest quality globally? According to history, coffee beans were discovered by goats. The way they got hyper after eating this strange berry drew the attention of the goat herder to the plant. He subsequently went to a monastery nearby and relayed his new findings to the monks there. The abbot of the monastery concocted a drink from the berries and saw that it kept him awake over the night. Word of this quickly spread and many people started brewing concoctions from these berries, but it was in the Arabian Peninsula that coffee was first grown and traded. By the 16th century, coffee was drunk in Arabia, Egypt, Syria, and Turkey. It was drunk at home and in coffee shops known as kahve khana, which sprang up in places where the drink was consumed. Europe got its first taste of coffee in the 17th century. But it was not as welcome as it was in countries of the Near East. In fact, when it arrived in Venice in 1615, the church condemned it and many called it Satan's bitter invention. The drink was so controversial that Pope Clement VIII was called to intervene. He decided to taste the drink and was so blown away by it that he gave coffee a papal approval. Coffee houses grew in England, Austria, France, Germany, and Holland. In England, penny universities cropped up in many places, so named because a cup of coffee and lively conversation could be had for a penny. Coffee replaced beer and wine, and it also improved work output significantly as those who consumed it were bright-eyed and alert for work rather than drowsy from wine. One of such consumers of coffee was Napoleon Bonaparte. If there was one thing Napoleon loved as conquering, it was coffee. He drank it twice a day and it was full of particles. Everyone drank coffee that way. Unfiltered, cup loads of dregs. But all this changed with the birth of Melitta Liebscher. Melitta was born in 1873 in Dresden after the First German Revolution. At this point in history, the population of Dresden had exploded to 100,000 people, making it one of the largest cities of the German Confederation. By the time Melitta was born, Dresden was a major economic center, with automobile manufacturing, food processing, banking, and medical equipment manufacturing. But left behind this progress was coffee, as everyone still drank really terrible coffee. Like no one could crack the code of smooth coffee. The 1824 patent Evans roaster and the 1901 espresso machine tried but just couldn't cut it. Things changed when an adult coffee lover Melitta couldn't just bear to drink another cup of bad coffee. She started experimenting and found out that a sheet of blotting paper with some holes, placed in a brass pot filled with coffee grounds and covered with hot water, was the best formula. In 1908, Melitta patented her coffee filter and published it in the Patent Blatt. This same year, she established the M. Bentz Company with 4 staff members and no payroll. Who would accept such a job? They were her husband Hugo, her sons Willie and Horst, and herself. Her sons hawked the product in the street while her husband set up a window display demonstrating the new invention. He later delegated this to demonstration ladies, a concept gained from his work as a department store manager. Horst recalled that this move by his father was ingenious, resulting in a business boom. At the 1910 International Hygiene Exhibition in Dresden, Melitta showcased her invention and garnered gold and silver awards called the filtration apparatus. After the fair, her product was so in demand that in 1928, she and her extra staff worked double time to fulfill orders. Melitta improved her design in 1936. She transformed it into the popular cone shape we all know today. Although the 2 world wars affected her company's production, especially with her husband and first son signing up for the First War, the business could bounce back after each one. Paper was rationed, and all metals were requisitioned to produce zeppelins or flying blimps used for observation and fighting. Because the production of metal coffee filters was impossible, Bentz adapted and made a living selling cartons during the war. When Melitta workers grew to 80 people, they had to leave Dresden and create a new factory in Minden. Soon after the transfer, Bentz stepped down as president of the company, now a corporation, selling her controlling ownership to her husband and son Horst. They would patent and sell Melitta items in significant markets across the world. In 1925, Melitta introduced its red and green packaging to protect itself from imitators. And in 1932, the corporation invented the Melitta lettering brand, which is another unique feature. The classic Melitta logo was also adopted. All of this happened while the filter paper design was continuously developed and refined. In 1936, the business introduced the conical filter, which is still widely used today, and the typical Melitta filter bags were made to complement the new style. This success, however, did not last long because the Second World War method of doing things disrupted businesses. People were obliged to sell war-related items like ammunition belts, pots, and pans. To survive, Melitta was no exception. The Melitta as a whole plant in Minden was requisitioned by Allied troops at the end of the war and used as military barracks for the next 12 years. After the Second World War in 1945 and Hugo's passing in January 1946, Melitta started reconstruction as a company, and again experienced a rapid boom. By the time she died in 1950 at Holthausen in Porta Westfalica, her company grossed 4.7 million Deutschmark. While growing its business, the company continued to improve its coffee filters and alongside it, its marketing strategies. In 1950, the company revived its previously successful marketing strategy. They allowed homemakers to try out the fast drip filters before paying for them. Within a year, sales had tripled. As per contemporary trends, Melitta modified the filter design in the 1950s, which was made of stoneware with a pastel finish. They also began producing complete coffee sets. In terms of marketing, Melitta was no pushover. From a customer magazine called Melitta Information to annual shop window decoration contests, the company used different methods to maintain visibility in a rapidly changing world. Melitta created their first foreign subsidiary in Canada in 1960. Paper manufacturers and coffee roasting facilities were established in the United States and Brazil. Melitta presented its filters to the public at trade exhibits in the 1960s, offering over 2 million cups of coffee. In 1962, to add to their list of innovations, Melitta Group became the first company in Germany to offer vacuum-sealed packaging. The company began to increase its international presence by establishing a subsidiary in the United States in 1963. By the mid-1980s, the Melitta Group had grown to 65 enterprises and was present in 104 countries around the world. When Horst Bentz died in 1984, the company was separated into distinct entities, and by 1987, a management holding was established. In the same year, Melitta Group established 5 strategic business domains, each with its distinct brand. Melitta, coffee enjoyment. Top Pits, freshness and flavor. Swirl, convenient cleaning. Cilia, tea enjoyment. Acclimat, better living environment. In 2008, the Melitta Group celebrated 100 years of success. Flash forward to 2011, Volker Stummier joined as Chief Corporate Management. He was the first non-family member to hold such a position since the company was created over a century ago. And in 2019, the company celebrated its 111th anniversary. It also became the official coffee partner of soccer clubs Borussia Dortmund and Manchester United. With over 4,500 employees worldwide, Melitta's company made €1.7 billion in sales in 2020. Presently known as the Melitta Group, it operates worldwide and has a broad range of brands and products. Not bad for a Dresden housewife.